Hello, everyone. I'm Nathan Rowe with Canopy, and today I'm meeting with Joe Boyle and Robert Zigman at ButterflyMX. Canopy is a product company that focuses on remote monitoring and management of connected products. Canopy has seen a lot of traction in a wide range of products distributed through quick serve retail, hospitality, and again, today's focus will be meeting with ButterflyMX, understanding how Canopy has enabled them to be successful with their product. And so to kick us off and talk about their product, I'll pass it over to you, Joe, to get us started.
Hi, my name is Joe Boyle, Vice President of Software Engineering here at ButterflyMX. I've been with ButterflyMX for almost 5 years now. I came here for a variety of reasons, but primarily because I used to live in a building that had an intercom, and I've lived in multiple buildings that had intercoms, and I hated them. And so I learned about the technology, the smart intercom, and how it can be used. I could not wait to join. So I've been blessed to be here, love it here. As I was saying, so ButterflyMX, when I first joined was primarily about the smart intercom and getting that out into the world. We've now transitioned into more of an access control company. So we have bullion readers, keypads, security cameras. Like, we are definitely growing quite a bit. But as of today, we're in over 20,000 buildings. When I joined, I want to say we were probably closer to 5,000. So we've grown exponentially since I've been here. But so we serve a wide variety of customers. That includes businesses, truck stops, schools. One of my favorites being the American School for the Deaf, and seeing them use American Sign Language to communicate with guests arriving at their building over our mobile app. I think that's just amazing. All this highlights the critical role ButterflyMX plays for its users, underscoring the importance of reliability. As I said, the key objective for the team is to enhance our product performance and proactively address customer issues, and that's with the help of Canopy. And then I also have with me Robert, and I will let Robert talk a little bit about himself and how he uses Canopy.
Hi, my name is Robert Zigman. I've been with the ButterflyMX for 8 years now. So all the way from startup phase up to this point. Our general company mission is to deliver seamless, uninterrupted access to the spaces people rely on. That's homes, buildings, offices. And yeah, we take that responsibility seriously. Our customers trust us with something fundamental, and that is access and security. My team's role in supporting the mission is to ensure our devices are always operational, healthy, and secure, regardless of hardware, regardless of platform performance capacity, or even network conditions. We focus on maximizing service availability by eliminating downtime and drive extended use of products past their anticipated end of life.
Robert, it's critical what you do and your team does. And Joe, thanks for getting us started there. Thinking back about how long we've been working together, which is coming up on 4 years. When ButterflyMX first came to Canopy, I know you guys were at a critical stage where you were seeing explosive growth in sales, and you had reached a point where the tooling that you had in place wasn't sufficient to keep up with the success and the growth that you've had. Since 2021, I believe you guys have scaled by nearly 500% with your expansion in not only device types, but in, as you said, Joe, the number of buildings that you're supporting, the number of residences. And that has really necessitated a product like Canopy to grow with you and to continue to adapt to support your needs and your customers' needs. I think one of the very key aspects of all of this is to understand more about what made you choose Canopy when you reached that growth point where your existing support systems were failing versus building on top of these existing internal systems. Joe, can you talk about that a bit more? What helped with that decision?
Sure. At the time, I was working closely with the CTO, and we were trying to, and Robert as well, evaluating whether we wanted to build something internally, which we were using some internal tools, or adopt a solution from a third party. So we looked at multiple solutions and ended up with Canopy, primarily because of time to value. So Canopy offered immediate capabilities for device monitoring, diagnostics, fleet management, reducing time to deploy compared to what we were doing previously. The feature set and scalability that also played into it. I think you guys provide a mature, extensible platform covering our critical needs, remote device health checks, performance monitoring. We can upload it and change firmware on a variety of our devices, which Robert will end up speaking to. Like it take a significant amount of time. Operational focus, like by leveraging Canopy, the team here can stay focused on core product performance improvements and customer experience rather than diverting my engineering resources to build and maintain an infrastructure for tooling. And then lastly, we did a cost benefit analysis. Obviously, the licensing of Canopy against a long-term engineering initiative made Canopy the obvious choice, given that we've scaled, like you said, to over 20,000 sites at this point. It's just wild. But yeah, in short, speed, capability, focus, and total cost of ownership drove the decision to adopt Canopy over building something in house. And I'll let Robert speak to some of how we used to manage things, which is pretty wild.
Well, in the early days, our legacy devices ran on Microsoft platform exclusively. And during that startup phase, we were operating from a single Windows server virtual machine that was our basically a deployment server. We built our own automation tool using PowerShell, which allowed us to execute scripts and deploy packages on remote devices using the native PowerShell remoting protocol, all through a VPN that served as our dedicated service network. And to enable basic observability, we developed custom modules and scripts to retrieve the data from remote devices so we can determine the patch level, versions, states. This setup worked surprisingly well for a limited number of devices, but as our fleet grew, it became increasingly complex and error-prone to manage. We had no user interface. Everything was done through the console, which wasn't user-friendly, as you may know. And Microsoft tools like STCM or Intune weren't viable due to associated costs. And yeah, we needed to scale, so we began developing our own RMM tool using ABS building blocks. And what started as a lightweight solution for remote execution deployment jobs and automated provisioning, it quickly demanded more and more features to be a broader platform covering inventory, configuration management, data collection, warehouse automation, and eventually requirements outgrew what our small dev team could realistically maintain and develop further. And at that point, we started looking at alternatives.
Robert, that's super helpful to understand where you started and at what point you realized if we want to roll this out to have more users involved and more of the support team participating in the management of these devices, you have to provide a system that doesn't have maybe as much of a steep learning curve or isn't just relying on console access and things like that. But I'll give it to ButterflyMX. You've done a fantastic job in your early days prior to Canopy, very mature in your processes. And I think that's what those really strong fundamental processes around device management have enabled you to be successful in the deployment of Canopy and the scale, reacting to the scale that you've had. We see this a lot with customers where they start to see, okay, we've got an idea, we've got a great product, we're going to bring that product to market, and monitoring becomes a necessity as they scale and not always a first thought. I think working together with Canopy does allow you guys to focus on the product that you're bringing to market and less about growing your own internal remote monitoring and management product. And so the partnership in that regard has been great. And it's been exciting to grow with you guys as Canopy has evolved to support your needs. We've learned a lot through this partnership. It's been extremely valuable. So let's talk a little bit about the different types of devices that you have rolled into as your product line has developed and as you've moved beyond just your initial intercoms into the additional products. Joe, that you were describing. So can you talk about how Canopy helps with monitoring and managing those different types of devices and the decision that you guys made a couple of years ago to introduce Linux, which was obviously a different operating system with a different management structure. Can you speak to how Canopy has enabled you guys to grow that device type fleet and operating systems?
As you said, our legacy smart intercoms are based on Microsoft platform. So these are the first gen devices, while our new gen smart intercom, along with the remaining product lineup, runs on Linux. Because of this, we have two distinct approaches to maintenance and support. And let's say on Windows, we use a base default image, which was flashed in factory or warehouse, and it contained minimal configuration, critical drivers, operating system optimizations, and from there we follow what I call micro patching model. We deploy changes and packages on the go with the main app running in the background, and with custom observability in place, we ensure services and configurations stay up to date. This lets us batch components selectively. We can push new tools quickly and avoid complex image distribution, which would be slow, disruptive, hard to maintain, and error prone on Windows-based systems. While on the other side, we have Linux. We use firmware-based over-the-air updates, OTA update. All critical changes are baked into the image and deployed. On the devices, there's OTA bootloader, and it's handling OEM firmware and image updates, similar to software updates for smartphones. And this approach avoids configuration fragmentation and keeps the experience consistent across the devices. Canopy platform is used to distribute these firmware updates, and Canopy tool allows us to run also a custom scripts for targeted updates or any type of parameter changes, such as volume, brightness control, microphone, camera, network, when needed. And both systems rely on Canopy for deployments, observability, and control. On the Windows side, our reliability comes from telemetry data, modular scripts, and event-based messages that populate fields in real time at mass scale. On Linux, we use Canopy's software package update system to ensure image delivery and also leverage telemetry from third-party sources like an Elastic for IoT automations. Even though our main application is updated via internal auto update service, fallback recovery methods through Canopy automations provide an additional layer of protection that has been proven valuable. The best part, Canopy supports both approaches to remote management, being platform independent, Windows or Linux. Experience is seamless, and with unified user interface and user experience, that's simple enough for support to use effectively.
Thanks, Robert. That's helpful. How you guys are using Canopy for both different operating systems in similar but different ways. And it's helpful to understand that having one platform when you make a decision to roll out a new device type like your keypads or move on to a Linux-based system, that didn't result in you having to architect a new monitoring solution along with it. So again, I think it allows you guys to focus just on that product side of things and then have the support of the Canopy product as well as the Canopy team to enable you guys to feel comfortable to go and make a decision like that. You've been really successful with it. The new units are incredible, and I think they speak to just how mature your product offering is growing to be. So let's talk a little bit about the scalability. So we've already touched on how over the last 4 years, you've seen explosive growth in across the market. And in that, you've had to scale your operations. You've scaled teams. You've changed the way that you think about what you're doing and the way you roll out product enhancements. Joe, maybe I can come to you. How has Canopy specifically helped ButterflyMX on the scalability of your operations?
Right now, the business has grown nearly, I want to say 200% in device deployments. And when I say deployments, like software being pushed to devices, I think if we go back to when I first started and working with Robert, A deployment of a software change or update didn't happen as frequently as we would have probably preferred. With the help of Canopy, the automation, the device management capabilities, support staffing didn't need to scale at that same rate, which was great for us and for them because they were able to do a lot and manage our fleet of devices in a way where they couldn't before. They can efficiently monitor, troubleshoot, manage at scale, and it definitely reduced the operational load on our support team as the business expanded and made their lives a million times easier. I can definitely say, and Robert sees them frequently, it has improved their life significantly.
That's great to hear. Thanks, Joe. When you think about how not only can it change your staffing model, but it can change what those individuals are doing day to day, removing those repeated tasks, those things that are very prime for automation, and allowing the team to move more into areas that you as a business see as very critical, but maybe you didn't have the capacity to focus on previously. So let's talk through a couple different ways that the team is using Canopy today, starting with like back online and root cause analysis. I've been working in support of connected devices for 16 years. And one thing that I've seen across all businesses, even when I was a technician actively supporting ATMs, the root cause analysis side of support is the first to get set to, I don't have time to do this. It's very time consuming. It's normally very manual. And sometimes you even have to take the device out of service or do it through some maintenance schedule to perform that root cause analysis. Now, ButterflyMX has been successful in utilizing Canopy in this way, specifically focusing on devices that go offline and performing some automated root cause analysis when it comes back online. Robert, can I put you on the spot here? And if you would just talk about how your team is leveraging Canopy today to perform that back online root cause analysis.
Sure. Let me start from the past. In the past, we lacked real-time insight into individual devices' hardware and network KPIs. And if a device experienced an outage or a crash, we wouldn't know until we performed a manual system check. So lifting reachable devices, pulling system health, logs, dumps, and configuration data. This process was done weekly or in a response to a support ticket. And now, in contrast, with the real-time KPIs within Canopy and event-driven automation, we can react the moment device comes back online or sends a specific signal. And depending on the event, we can automatically collect diagnostics, notify support, even email the property manager or a client, or even trigger remediation, restarting some services, reapplying the package installer, or even resetting the device to resolve any hardware component issues. One powerful example is our back online automation. It's a support's primary proactive support process, and it's designed so you can trigger when a device comes back online after a period of time. And it triggers an action that will gather network application logs as soon as the device establishes connectivity. It creates a support ticket with detailed information about the site network condition and service availability. If unstable connectivity is detected, it will also reset the network parameters such as DNS, or even try to reset the full TCP/IP stack to try to recover the network connectivity. This automation primarily acts as a customer notification service, sending automatic email when a device remains offline for a set period. Message with the outage details and troubleshooting steps are sent directly to the property managers. And this helps to steer the clients in the right direction, because a number of connectivity issues are caused by factors out of our control, such as ISP issues, local networking, latency, bandwidth issues, and that can impact customer satisfaction and potentially lead to a churn. Ensuring visibility here is critical, as our smart devices depend on a stable connection.
I think one of the coolest things about the back online automation structure that you guys have built is the integration with your existing systems. So you've had Elastic in place for a long time, and it serves a great purpose of log aggregation, monitoring, and running comparison analysis across what it's being fed. But taking that data and making it actionable is something that you couldn't really do much before. Inside that back online automation where you're reaching out and querying Elastic to evaluate the data that it's capturing of these devices as they come back online, I think just further enables you to utilize these other powerful tools in your portfolio and have that orchestrated through Canopy. So, we talk a lot about the observability of device status and how you actually interact with Canopy to understand if a device or the overall product availability is healthy. Um, Going back to you again, Robert, can you talk a little bit about how Canopy helps you observe the device current status, how you and your team are doing that?
Sure. The feature I personally find most valuable is the cards, the widgets. And by setting them up, I can view real-time data based on any parameter or query. And the fact that they also work as filters is absolutely ingenious. It allows me to customize our admin dashboard exactly how we want. So we can instantly identify devices need patching. Another standout is the agent itself, specifically its ability to send events, custom events, whether messages or structured data, quickly and efficiently. And I find leave command especially useful for sending files directly to the devices during troubleshooting over remote terminal sessions. I also really appreciate the flexibility in customizing grids, fields, tabs, categories, and filters. It gives me full control to tailor the platform to my exact needs. And finally, the analytics tools are incredibly helpful for defining and tracking KPI rules. That said, I'd love to see more granular search capability within the operations dashboard to make data exploration even smoother.
Thanks for that. When you're talking about the flexibility, one of the things that we've tried to keep core to our development principles here at Canopy is to build the product in a way that allows you to customize it for your needs. One of our recent releases is custom pages and the ability to start creating some of your own breakouts so that you can structure things and organize them by device type and by different qualifications of the device or characteristics of the device to further allow you to make Canopy fit your needs and not the other way around. Wrap your needs around what Canopy can support. Going back to the partnership, you guys have been incredible for the journey of Canopy and enabling us to understand what our customers, especially customers that are seeing massive scale, what they need to continue to be successful on the product when they hit these milestones of growth. So I can't say enough how beneficial it is to be working with you guys in that way. We've touched on the back online automations. We've talked about visibility to device health and device status, the flexibility of the way you break that all up. There's also some automations that have been put in place to help with recovery. So it's inevitable that software fails us at times, and reacting to that quickly is something that allows your availability and reduces impact to your customers. Joe, could you talk a little bit about maybe automations that have been more focused on reactiveness to issues?
When we started first using Canopy, we would, or I personally would detect an issue in an Elasticsearch dashboard, and then I would go into Canopy and trigger a manual action to fix whatever that issue might be. And over time, I realized that was taking a lot of time. Support was doing the same thing. If I could make it so for myself, it'd save time and not have to go in there and then primarily get support out of there, and so they can focus on other customer needs and other needs within the company. It would definitely improve everyone's life significantly. So now, when an issue occurs, like a hardware component failure or some kind of important software process no longer running, our integration with Elasticsearch typically detects those events and then fires it off to Canopy to take action. So from there, Canopy will go ahead and trigger one of these IoT automations and address the root cause. So that could either be restarting a particular piece of software on the device. It could be rebooting the device. The goal is to resolve the issue proactively and often make sure our customers don't even know it's happening. Just try to get it done before they even realize there is a problem.
I think it was also helpful in the early stages for you guys to utilize analytics over the top of that automation data to understand just the volume of where this is playing in your business and be able to quantify that real visibility to say this automation is, it's helping us in this way or it's running in this way. It's been exciting to see that as well, how that's evolved. Now, you have a lot of very proprietary information that you need to capture and store. And Robert, when you were first talking about your early days, you didn't have a place to put your information, product versions, configuration sets, even things about what building it's at and where it's on. Now, what we've seen is that sometimes customers feel that they need to build that on top of their own application backends, but it's more of a support need or it's an operations need. And so that can get clustered, maybe make it a little bit too busy in your application backend. Robert, can you talk about how leveraging custom fields, tables, and more about the Leaf API has allowed you guys a way to communicate custom data up into Canopy?
Sure. We heavily leverage event messages across all our scripts and deployment jobs, and we integrate them into every piece of code or action within Canopy. Rather than relying solely on the script output, we can embed event messages and events in our code to transmit the error codes or states throughout any deployment job. And also, this allows us to populate specific data fields and also use these filter cards that you mentioned as a custom components KPIs, right? So tracking things like error codes, execution states, completion flags, feature flags, all in real time. And a key example and our first and most critical data collector in Canopy was our device info process, which is essentially a periodic cron job that collects critical custom data, such as configuration details, feature flags, device ID, security policy, patch level, network information, even ISP information such as geolocation and other related useful information. And it sends this data through the Canopy event pipeline, and it's populating our tables and fields and dashboards with everything we need to track and monitor. And this process has been vital for visibility and a vital tool in our dashboards.
That's good to hear because, again, customization of the product, the ability to have fields that are very specific to what you need and allow you to then use those filter cards to kind of segment your devices into groups. Because when you're looking at as many devices as you guys have deployed, you have to break that into digestible chunks and make sense of that in utilizing custom fields is definitely one way to do that. Moving on to just overall impact to your operations and to your business. Joe, how would you quantify the impact that Canopy has had on ButterflyMX?
Being able to automate device management and resolution of issues we're having has allowed us to scale operations without proportionally increasing headcounts. This greatly improves our customer experience with faster resolution and more reliable service for our clients, but also reduces the need for on-site visits, sending out an installer or a technician to go check what is physically happening at the site. While some of this is qualitative metrics like faster resolution times, fewer escalations, a decrease in sending out a person to the site helps quantify that impact from my standpoint.
That's great. Thank you for that. Robert, what about you? If you just had to summarize the impact on your operation?
Ultimately, Canopy helps us shift from reactive support to proactive management. And in the end, we can deliver smarter, more reliable service to our customers, and we can stay one step ahead of any potential issue. And with Canopy, just like the name says, all our devices under a single canopy tree, unified, protected, and always within a reach.
Careful. We might put you on our marketing team. Guys, just to close off here, I've said it before, I'll say it again. The partnership between the two companies is really important. Canopy is a living, breathing, growing thing, and we've developed a lot over the years understanding what our customers like you guys need. We interact every week, multiple times a week. We're very closely connected. That's been really successful for this partnership. Do you guys want to talk just very briefly to wrap us up here on any future aspirations you might have in projects that you're moving into, new industries, new device types that you're rolling out, and anything that you want to just share for the listeners on what's coming next for ButterflyMX?
One thing I wanted to mention is I think with the help of Canopy, we've been able to focus on one of our core company values, which is uh, putting our customer first always. Like, I think by being able to proactively address issues before they reach the customer's visibility, it has definitely helped. And it's also nice because they don't even know we're doing it. And so it has definitely made that relationship, I think, even stronger with our customers. I think for now, one product that we recently launched and we are also monitoring within is our security camera solution. That is probably the most recent. I envision multiple iterations of device types for that. So that will be fun to see how that plays out. Yeah, I don't think I have anything else to add there.
Listen, thank you both for taking time today to talk about how your business is functioning, how you found success utilizing Canopy. We're looking forward to continue to grow with you guys. I'm a huge fan of your product. I've been a user of your product. I see it throughout Atlanta where I live, and it's cool to be able to walk by a building. One of my very good friends, every time I go over there, I buzz in through the nice new polished intercom. It's cool. Temporary codes. He had a Super Bowl party last year and everybody had a code and it worked great.
Awesome.
Thank you both for your time and your participation in this. It's hugely beneficial for us.
No, thank you.